Hello everyone, this is the Crimson Cure, welcoming you to the Crimson Tower, a place where we keep a feminine foot on the neck of the gynocracy, feminism, and black male misandry. So go ahead, pull up a chair, stay a while, and listen.
Dear Dad, man, where do I start? I love you with everything in me. You're my dad, my father, my OG, my mentor. Man, you everything to me but my guy and my mother. I thank God that you met my mom and did not give up on her or me. It takes a different kind of man to accept the responsibility that you did. You came into my life when I was wanting some change. If it was not for you, I promise you, I'd either be in jail or dead. You saved my mother and I. You blessed me with a happy life and 4 of the best siblings I can have. Since day one, you never left my side. Even when I got out of the rain, you never gave up on me. This next part, I just want to say a few ways. It's been times when I felt like I just didn't have nobody in there. It's like you was always there. Even my mama couldn't make you was always there every event. Stuff you didn't even have to be there for. Stuff I didn't even think nobody would come to. Times where I just needed somebody to talk to. You was there. Not to throw no shots or nothing like that, but you all I got. It's like you my father at the end of the day. So I'm ready to say this, and I want you to adopt me as your own. I have, along with everyone else, seen you as my father and the #1 male role model in my life. By you adopting me, you will also become my legal father in the eyes of the law. You have earned all credibility for the man that I am becoming.
Oh man. Oh. Whoa. Man, that was powerful. Oh my God.
It won't be you, I won't be the man that hang out there. It won't be you, I won't be the father that hang out to your brother and sister, man. You made me what hang out. Oh, you would. You just don't know, you were more influential than me, I was for you, man. Wow.
Hello, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I am, of course, your host, femininity coach, and author of the Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective. So, what are we talking about today? Do you know a gynocrat when you see one? I don't know. Do you? Are you one? If you're a guy, do you know how to spot one? And what is a gynocrat? Let's just clear the air on that. I typically use the word gynocrat interchangeably with a feminist. A gynocrat is a woman, and in some cases, a man, who believes in the superiority of women over men. Okay. And this is part of the gynocracy. So a gynocracy is a rule of women by policy, right? Which is what we have in this country, and more specifically what we have in what is left of the Black community. It is run by not a matriarchy, because successful matriarchies run well underneath patriarchies. So it's not a matriarchy. It's something much more sinister and dysfunctional, which is a gynocracy, which is a form of or a way of living and a set of ideals that says that women are inherently more important and better than men and boys. So women and girls have an inherent value that men and boys do not. And as such, women and girls should be placed first in pretty much every category. And men and boys should be placed last or not at all. And that's sort of a loose kind of definition to that, to what a gynocracy is, just to give you a better idea. And that's really how we live culturally. As Black people, we live in a gynocracy. We live in a culture that raises our girls to excel, to be anything that they imagine themselves to be. And on the other hand, we do not encourage boys to do the same. Boys are sort of left to their own devices to figure out their path in life, figure out manhood, figure out what they're supposed to do with themselves. And, you know, the women are not too concerned about what the men do as long as they don't surpass the women. And with that being said, a lot of the times, because so many of our women, are probably a good 80% of our women, fall in the gynocratic category, a lot of men find themselves in relationships with these women and don't quite understand exactly what's going on in the relationship and why the relationship is going so badly and why he never seems to be happy or get anything out of it. And he seems to always be almost in this servitude type of position. And then the women themselves, the ladies, sometimes you don't know you're a gynocrat because especially for the younger generation of ladies, you were raised in this. You don't know anything outside of gynocentrism and feminism as a way of thinking, as a way of life. You have been socially conditioned to accept feminism and accept gynocentric thought as a matter of course, simply because you have not experienced any other set of ideas. You were born, especially if you are teens or in your 20s, you were born in this sort of progressive sort of society. And by the time you got old enough to understand anything about the world, this was your teaching that at one point boys and girls were equal, but in reality is that girls are purported to be better than boys in almost every conceivable category. So you are likely, if you are a young woman listening to me, you're likely a gynocrat by default. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to spot that gynocentrism inside of you. So I came up with just a couple of things that might steer this along. And one of the first things that I thought of, and this is in no particular order, but typically a gynocratic female will focus only or mainly on external things, i.e. money, clothing, shoes, jewelry, etc. Okay. Only the things that are external, that make her look good, that may make her look wealthy, sexy, more appealing, smarter, whatever she's going for, whatever type of image that she's attempting to project, whatever material thing that she can utilize to help her project that image is of the utmost importance to her. Okay. So, you know, for instance, for a lot of young women, it is a focus on big butts, big boobs, small waist, and looking like an Instagram model. And this is what's important. She'll do anything. She'll undergo all kinds of procedures if she has to. If she doesn't have a natural kind of body like that, she'll put filters. She'll, like I said, go through cosmetic procedures, whether they be legal or not, black market or not. And to attempt to get a specific look that potentially is going to get her likes, views, shares, followers, or whatever the current currency is for female attention at this point in time, which we know is focused primarily on social media. Okay. things like getting that type of attention, getting a lot of superficial kind of attention falls into this category of focusing only on external things. And also going along with that, when we talk about focusing on external things, usually a gynocrat will focus only on the 5 external things. Let me take this banner down so that you can see it clearly. The 5 external, starting with number 6, mobility, education, profession, leisure, and wealth. Many times gynocrats will focus only on these things. Mobility, usually at the hands of men or at the expense of men, how she can travel, the things that she can do. And even when she's not coming from that perspective, women who focus on education, profession, and wealth as a form of obtaining more mobility, these are the highly educated, highly degreed women who have grown up with this feminist trope of not needing men, and she can do it all by herself, and she's building all by herself, and she's got these empires and all of this sort of thing. These are typically your gynocrats. Now, I'm not saying that every woman that has a degree is a gynocrat. What I am saying is that gynocrats have a tendency to focus on only the external things while ignoring her internal 5, starting with the spiritual value onto the dwelling. So she will ignore her spiritual value, her health value, her family value, her appearance value, and her dwelling value as well. All right. So which leads me to the next thing. She rarely speaks about her spiritual self. No talk of reflecting or about things she's learned in life. So if you are a woman that rarely introspects, you are unable to have conversations about your spiritual self in any meaningful way. And I don't mean church or any particular religion. What I mean is the ability to take inventory over your life and learn lessons, useful lessons from the experiences that you have had. And when I say useful lessons, I mean things that actually elevate you, propel you forward internally and spiritually, actually make you think higher, and they grow you emotionally and they grow you in wisdom. Okay, because there's real wisdom and then there's chicken head wisdom. Okay, chicken head wisdom is if she gets cheated on by 2 dudes, then chicken head wisdom, what she learns from that is that she can't trust no dudes and that she got to get these dudes before she get got, which turns her into a savage. Okay, which actually stunts her emotional growth because she doesn't take time to reflect on, well, what was really the nature of this relationship? Was she being honest about what this relationship was? Was this a real one? Was this a situationship? Was this just some guy she was kicking it with? Is her pride just hurt because maybe he found another girl to kick it with? It's self-reflection depends upon honesty with oneself. So if you're the type of female that can never truly be honest with herself and point the fingers back at you and say, you know what, I have a share in things that go on in my life. Okay, it's not always somebody else. It's actually me too, especially if things keep kind of going in a way that I don't like, then I am actually having a participation in that, and be honest to assess what is my participation level in these things, in this chaos or whatever is going on in my life, the things that I dislike about my life. How am I contributing to that? And once I realize how I'm contributing to that, how can I reverse that? What can I do to actually make these things better? Not just develop a coping mechanism, but still remain in a chaotic state or still remain in a dysfunctional state. Okay, so when y'all talk about your spiritual self, this is meant to take you out of dysfunction, if you're in dysfunction, into functionality. If you never move from dysfunction to functionality, then you're not doing spiritual value right. Okay, because it's not about just building these defense mechanisms and making it through and, trying to get people before you get got and all of this other type of stuff. It's about actually ascending spiritually. It's about actually learning lessons. It's about actually getting better in life. Some of these mistakes you don't have to repeat again, because it's like, okay, I understand why that was a mistake. I understand why it didn't turn out the way that I thought it would, or wanted it to, or needed it to, or whatever the situation may be. Here's what I learned. Here's what I'm going to do differently in order to get different outcomes, and have those things be focused positively and not focused negatively, and not coming from a place of vengeance or coming from a place of, you know what I'm saying, I got to be able to get over on people, or I got to be able to one up people all the time, you know what I'm saying, or step on people in order to get to the places where I want to be. Basically, this is the spiritual value is rooted, like I said, in truth. And the first truth that you have to tell is to yourself. Okay. In the words of my late father, you have to be real about yourself to yourself. All right. In other words, to thine own self be true. All right. Because if we can't be true to us, if we can't look in the mirror when there's no one around, when there's no one to see, when there's no one to judge, when there's no one to focus on us, if we can't look in the mirror and say, Crimson Cure, this is what's going on with you, and let's just keep that 100. Okay, this is what's happening. These are your good points, and these are your not so good points. Let's work on these. Let's improve on your not so good points and make your good points better. How about doing that? All right. So if you're the kind of woman that never reflects honestly on yourself, what you're doing, you never step back and assess, you know what I'm saying, your friendship. What kind of friend are you to people? You never step back and assess what kind of girlfriend or wife or fiance or whatever you are. You never step back to assess what kind of mother you are if you're a mother. You never step back to see or think about how do my children perceive me? Am I being perceived positively by them, or am I being perceived negatively by them? And do that with as least amount of bias as you actually probably can. Because what we have to remember, especially in the case of children, is they are human beings, separate. Just because we're taking care of them doesn't mean that they're having a good experience of us, especially if we are not taking care of business in terms of the internal 5 of the 10 life values. So, which moves me here. Typically, a gynocrat's other trait is her priorities are rarely in the correct order, needs what she wants, but never wants what she needs. All right. So if you're the type of woman that got bills to pay, kids to feed, stuff to do, and your main concern is getting some D from a guy, getting to a club, or getting high with whatever, drinking or whatever, or partying, when you have grown folk responsibilities on you and you can't think to manage to do those things, but you always can finagle a way to go out and do this other stuff that you want, you're probably a gynocrat, because gynocrats' value systems are all messed up. And if your value system is messed up, then likely your priorities are going to be messed up, because your priorities are tied to your values. So what you value, what you feel is most important, is usually tied to the priority that you think is most important. So if your priorities are all about kicking it, fun, sex, drugs, whatever, while you also have adult responsibilities that you are that people are counting on you to come through with, and you're unreliable, can't be counted on, you know what I'm saying, you're always, you know, a day late and a dollar short for everything except for the stuff you want to do, which is leisure, then you're probably a gynocrat. You need what you want, but you never want what you need. These are women who focus primarily on number 9. Remember that a gynocrat focuses on the external values more than the internal values. So with this particular type of person that does not value or doesn't have her priorities straight, is probably focusing too much on number 9, which is the leisure value. Too focused on kicking it and everything that seems fun, everything that seems like there's no consequences to it. You know what I'm saying? Everything that seems like it doesn't have any You know what I'm saying? No strings attached, no accountability, no responsibility, no consequences. I can just do what I want to do and nobody can tell me nothing. And then when somebody try to check you, now all of a sudden you grown and you don't need nobody to tell you nothing. But really you need somebody to tell you something because you just spent your rent money on a 3-5 for weed. You feel what I'm saying? You spent part of it. You know you're getting subsidized. So you only owe about $250 for rent. And you bought an ounce of weed. Like, knock it off. You do need somebody to tell you something because your priorities are all out of whack. You need what you want, but you never quite can want what you need. And what you need is some type of structure in your life, some type of order in your life, some type of system in your life, some type of leadership in your life that can get you brought out of that chaos and into some type of order so you can actually elevate and be better in your life than what you're doing on your own, because left up to your own devices, you're not doing very well. You are too focused on all of these other things and you're not focused on the things that you should be focused on that actually help make you a better person and a better woman. Moving on, she follows cultural trends blindly. Nothing's ever truly off limits if it results in material gain. So these are the go with the flow type of women. Anything that the culture says is okay, she thinks it's okay. Since the culture nowadays says thoughts are okay, it says sex work is okay, it says prostitution is okay, it says, stripping is okay, porn work is okay, and you shouldn't be shamed for any of these things. You don't have to have any integrity or morals to get the material items that you are after, probably a gynocrat. Because women who are not gynocratic often have their value system intact. And the value system begins with the spiritual value, not the wealth value. Wealth is at the bottom. Spirituality is at the top. And if you have your spiritual value intact, chances are you're not going to sell that and sell your integrity in order to get a few dollars, even if it's not just a few, even if it actually kind of makes you semi-wealthy. You know what I'm saying? To do these things, a woman of principle and value isn't going to do certain things are off limits, because we can't, through the 10 life values, we can't get to wealth if we don't get through spiritual first. And you can't sacrifice your spiritual self, or in other words, what people call sell their soul. You can't sell your soul for a couple of dollars and think you're going to be all right after you get the couple of dollars. So a woman of integrity, of spiritual value, that has her values in order according to the 10 life values, is actually, there are certain things that's just not on the menu. There are certain things that she's just not going to do. There are certain things that you can't pay her to do. She'll work her hands to the bone doing some other job that she don't want to do, rather than sell her integrity and sell her femininity and sell her womanhood down the river to get a couple of dollars. And one of the final ones was, she is unwilling and often unable to submit herself to any reasonable leadership, cannot abide any SOS or system order structure. All right. Ultimately, because her value system is messed up, because she values wealth and external things over the internal things, because she follows blindly cultural trends, because she doesn't have her priorities in order, because of these things, she's often unable and unwilling to submit under order, because all of that stuff that I just named are all chaotic. All of those things are missing order. It's missing structure. It's missing leadership. It's missing accountability. It's missing responsibility. That's what those things are missing. That's what they all have in common. Okay? So when you have this level of chaos in your life and you've been living like this for X amount of years, it becomes very difficult to then fall underneath any type of leadership that calls you to the carpet to be accountable for the things you do every day. So you can go to work and abide by that SOS because it's for a specific time frame. They only looking for you to do a specific thing, and what you do on your personal time is really none of their business. So they can't really check you on things that's not happening inside of work hours or on the premises of the job. However, you find it very difficult to abide by any type of leadership outside of that, because that actually involves you to sacrifice something in your personal life. You're actually going to have to stop doing certain things, or stop going certain places, or basically simply be held accountable for the stuff that you do, the stuff that you say, the places you go, and the people you're with, and all of these other sorts of things, all of these different areas in your life. You actually have to be accountable. You actually have to be responsible for that and answer to whatever this authority is, usually a man that you respect and love. All right. But sometimes, well, many times, a gynocrat can actually love a dude but not respect it, because she can't. It's not because of the dude. It's because she knows in herself she's not going to abide by any system and order and structure, even though internally she actually knows she needs it, which is why she'll keep trying to hang around the guy, keep trying to be with him, but she's also simultaneously fighting him on any type of order that he try to bring, because the gynocratic part of you fight order. You fight orders, and because you grown and can't nobody tell you what to do, and all of this foolishness. But the internal, your actual biology as a woman craves this type of thing, because we know that we need the order of masculinity and masculine light to actually bring us into a state of peace, where all of these external stresses are not present, and we can actually be what we call rest in our femininity, right? But we're unable to do that without the presence of a man to actually offer to us provision, problem solving, protection, and procreation. If we don't have that actually being given to us on a one-to-one basis with a leader, with our man, then we automatically fall into chaos pretty much all of the time. All right. So these are just some of the traits, some of the main traits that you might have if you are a gynocrat. Again, if you're a younger woman, and this isn't to throw shots at you, because I understand that you have been socially conditioned to think this way basically from birth. You didn't watch the society change. Like, I'm a Gen Xer, and I watched it change for the most part. Like, I remember these changes. I remember seeing when these concepts became more and more to the forefront, like women are better than men, and shaming men for being masculine and calling it toxic masculinity, and basically shaming them for being men, while at the same time upholding some of the worst qualities of women as some type of thing to be looked upon and ogled upon and praised somehow. So if you have these traits, know that you probably are a gynocrat, but there is a way out of it. This is the way out of it, okay? Having these things, the 10 life value system, having that in order, and you start, instead of starting at number 10, you start at number 1, and you focus on yourself. Start actually, it's never too late to do introspection. It's never too late to reflect on your life in a serious and truthful manner. Of course, you have to be honest with yourself first about the condition of your spiritual self, about the condition of your health. A lot of us make excuses about being thick and being fat and this and that, when really there's no excuse. It's an unhealthy thing to be. We usually don't address mental health issues. We sometimes wear those as a badge of honor. Well, I'm crazy. Well, you should actually seek some type of help if you know that you're diagnosed with some sort of behavioral or mental issue. Our families are typically in some type of shambles. We got a couple of baby daddies, or, or whatever the case may be. It's just not in a good state. And we have to be honest, not only about how other people have contributed to that, but how we have contributed to that. Because remember, ladies, we are not just passengers in our life. We are active participants in our own lives. Our appearance value, you got to be mindful of that and be honest with yourself. Are you a bonnet wearer? Are you part of the bonnet brigade that think it's okay to get to hit a club with a bonnet on? You see what I'm saying? Are you of the twerking committee that think it's okay to get anywhere out in public in any situation and start shaking your behind? That's part of your appearance value, how you show up in the world as a woman. And then your dwelling value, what's the energy like in your home? What is the dynamic in your home? Is it pleasant? Is it peaceful? Is it tumultuous? Is it chaotic? Is it confrontational? Is there a lot of tension around it all the time? A lot of arguments, a lot of craziness going on in your life? What's happening? And I'm stopping at the internal 5 because this value system that you're living by right now from the gynocracy got you focusing on the external 5, which actually doesn't help you at all. It actually hurts you and puts you in a position where you're so masculine, don't nobody want to deal with you. The solution is in the internal 5. Shout out to Chief Stay Sleep, who says, heal before we build. The healing is within the internal 5 of those 10 life values. That's where we need to start. That'll bring you out of the chaos and the destruction of feminism and gynocentrism and into the functionality of your true femininity and your true womanhood. And that's when you'll be able to find a man that will provide the 4 P's so that you really can rest in your femininity, because you will have found your femininity and you can enjoy it, and so can he. Okay. So sound off in the comment section. Do you agree with this list? Is this kind of how you can spot a gynocrat? And ladies, if you're looking at this list, does it apply to you? And what do you think you need to do in order to get out of that mindset? Or do you even think that you need to come out of that mindset at all? I'd love to hear everyone's comments and thoughts. So please sound off in the comment section. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I am your host, The Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.
Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor, who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.